This episode of SpectreSoundStudios is brought to you by ProMix Academy. Get your hands on tracks by Motorhead, Galacticon, and many more in the Ultimate Rock Mixing Bundle. Hey everybody, it's Friday. Hope you're going to have an amazing weekend. I hope I have one too. Let's get right to it.
Hey Glenn, I play in a heavy rock and roll band and lately I have left sessions with my ears ringing tensely. We play in a garage, which is not the most apt place for heavy music making. I was curious, what would you consider doing a tutorial on ear protection, like technical stuff with decibels and how it relates to heavy music? Also, if there are any bands you recommend of earbuds that prevent hearing loss, cheers from the birthplace of funk, Ohio.
Okay, dude, if your ears are ringing after band practice, yes, start using hearing protection right fucking now. Don't mess around. Go get something. Even some foam earplugs are going to help protect your hearing. You can go on Amazon. There's a bunch of different types you can get, but put something in there for every practice. Don't forget. And if you're singing, it helps actually. It closes off your ear canals. You can hear your skull resonances a little bit. It's almost like having your own built-in in-ear monitors. Of course, you could always do that as well. Go with the in-ear monitoring system, and you can get those custom fit. They'll block out all the noise, and you can hear yourself just fine. Totally recommend checking that out. Not the cheapest option, but definitely the best option.
Hey Glenn, any advice on using ribbon mics on amps, especially balancing the sound with a dynamic mic when double miking a cab? I love using the SM57 Royer 121 Power Duo, but the Royer is definitely a good deal quieter.
Great question, man. You know, I haven't had much luck with the Royer stuff on metal guitars. In general, I find it's a little dark for my tastes. I brought one in, tried, whatever. Blending mics on amps. Make sure you're in phase, check your waveforms, make sure everything lines up the way it should. And Sound Radix has a great program called Auto Align that can help you out if you can't figure that out or get it to go right. I still have to finish off a review on that. Great piece of software. I use that every now and then, especially on good blending guitar mics. That being said, make sure you have a preamp that can deliver the goods when it comes to gain. Generally, ribbon mics like a lot of gain. I use a Great River MP to Envy or an API 512C. They have crap tons of gain and usually aren't good in digital systems with loud sources like drums and whatnot, because you've really got to step them down and put some attenuators and all kinds of crap on. But for quieter sources like ribbon mics, they are freaking awesome.
Get your haircut or stop making videos.
Well, I believe you should lead by example with that statement. I got an idea. How about you get your haircut and stop making videos? I'm sure that would make the world a much better place.
My music teacher is a bass player and he has not changed the strings on his bass since he got it a good few years ago. What is your opinion on this? Thanks from Ireland.
Well, you didn't say what your bass teacher plays in. I mean, like, if he's playing bass in a band that backs up, like Irish step dancers, go for it. Nobody's going to notice anyway. If he's playing rock music, I don't know. If he's a great bass player, maybe he can get away with it. The problem I have are crappy bass players with crappy strings. It just makes a crappy sound. If you get a great bass player with old dead strings, you might be able to get something awesome there. But generally for metal, get new bass strings. Seriously. Either that or I don't know, maybe it's your fault because you're the student. Maybe you should pay the guy more so he can afford new strings. You ever think about that, perhaps?
Hey, Glenn, what do you think about when someone asks a band playing for exposure? I've been playing for more than 20 years, and it bothers me when some people talk about the exposure you may get if you play for free at their events. I don't mind to play for free if it's a legit great opportunity or if it's for an honest benefit event, but I get mad every time I see that somebody is paid at the event. Sound guys, security staff, etc., except the bands.
Alex, great question, great comment. I have to agree with you there. If somebody's telling you you're playing for the exposure, then tell them to get up on stage naked and lead by example, and they can do it for the exposure. Seriously, if somebody's telling you to do it for the exposure, you have a 2-word response to that person. Fuck you! You're paying the sound guy, you're paying the security, you're paying the bar staff, you're paying everybody else. You've got enough money to pay the band. And if you don't put on a show. Musicians work freaking hard and deserve to be paid. And if you're considering ever doing a pay-to-play gig anywhere, don't. That bar owner is ripping you off. Don't do it. It's not worth your time. You don't need that shitty gig anyway.
Hey Glenn, I don't know if you have already addressed this question, but what's your opinion on making, let's say, the guitar player play the bass parts? I have just finished tracking my first band and all the guys played really good, apart from the bass player. Should we just try again with them or jump to another solution?
Dude, you didn't tell me how bad the session went with the bass player. I'm like, did he really fuck things up? Or was he just, mediocrely bad? Or was he spectacularly bad? Inquiring minds want to know. I've had a few situations where, we've retracked the bass without the bass player knowing, and it went really fast and we got great results. And to this day, the bass player doesn't know, and that was like, we did that record, 2001, 2002, something like that. Generally, if you don't have to hurt his feelings, then don't. But if you've got a guitar player who knows all the bass lines and who can rip it out and do a great job, then just do it. Don't even ask. Hey everybody, just want to let you know this episode is sponsored by Pro Mix Academy, and we've got this amazing 70% off deal for the Ultimate Rock Mixing Bundle. There are 10 video lessons by Cameron Webb, Warren Hewart, Ulrich Wild, and myself, and many more, and just hours upon hours of video lessons, full multi-tracks for bands like Motorhead, Galactic Con, the Aquabats, just tons and tons of really cool stuff. If you want to improve your skills, I highly recommend checking it out. It is 70% off, and the link is in the description below. Now back to the show.
Could you imagine if James Hetfield auto-tuned every vocal mistake he's ever made on a Metallica album? There's compilations on YouTube of his fuck-ups, and even with all that, he never once used pitch correction. And Metallica is still one of the most successful metal bands out there, and people love Hetfield as a vocalist. Even if you're not the best singer, you don't need pitch correction.
That right there, folks, that is the honest, unbridled truth. You don't need pitch correction. If you're fixing with pitch correction, you are doing it wrong. That's not rock and roll. That's not metal. That is pure, unadulterated bullshit.
Hey Glenn, big fan for over 3 years now. Just want to know, would you ever do a studio tour of your studio? And also, what would you recommend for acoustics for your home studio for a beginner engineer by viewing your vid all the way from Puerto Rico? Love the vids.
Hey Eddie, so glad you have power. Hope you're doing okay. I know Puerto Rico really got hammered, and it really sucks that it's taking so long to get the power back on for everybody. As per your question, one, I've already done a studio tour video about 3 years ago. It is in there, and yes, I'm really overdue. I'm rewiring my desk this week. Hopefully I can get that done, and then I can do the studio tour. I'm also building a bookcase. As soon as that's done, I'm doing my new studio tour video because I've got all this new gear coming and whatnot. As for acoustics, I've said this a million times and I say it again. Check out the John Sayers Studio Design Forum. There is just a tremendous wealth of knowledge in there. It's definitely worth putting some time in and doing some research and seeing what affordable options there are for you. In the meantime, you can check out my Build Your Own Bass Traps video. It's in the links, it's in my playlists, it's in my video lists, it's in there. I take you guys through all the steps on how to build your own bass traps for dirt cheap.
Do you ever feel like there's too much music being made? Everybody can record themselves, release their music on their own, so it makes it a lot easier to set out and make music. Do you feel like this has made it easier to be overwhelmed with bands, albums, and songs, that nothing will stick out to you quite like it you have 20 years ago?
Interestingly enough, there used to be a website in the mid-2000s called GarageBand.com, and it's not the Apple GarageBand.com. This is where bands would upload their material, other bands would review them and whatnot, and that was the whole idea. Unfortunately, that kind of fell through. I was really involved with that website for quite a while, and I left a lot of reviews. And there was a lot of crap. There really was. The fact everybody could record themselves. Yes, it made for a lot of really shitty recordings. Terrible recordings. But, I found a couple cool bands that, I've still got on my regular MP3 playlist because the songs were killer. So even with a deluge of material available, yes, believe me, great songs will catch your attention and stand out, even if they're poorly recorded.
Do you edit your own videos after you record? I did a few videos for a school I teach, and it's really a lot of hard work to record video in one source, audio in another, and screen capture from a PC, then sync them all together. I wonder if you have some sort of timecode syncing track on those through your devices, or if you use the plain old clapper method.
I use the plain old clapper method, but I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and it will sync everything based on the audio. So at the beginning of every show, I'm doing, hey, audio sync. And, that syncs everything. That gets my mic here, that gets my camera synced. And, if I'm doing screen capping software, it'll do the same thing. It's pretty damn simple, actually. Don't make it more complicated than it already is. If you are using Adobe Premiere, just remember to right-click everything, go up the list, and synchronize audio. Does the trick.
Not to diverge from the exciting news, but bass equipment. Bass can get your preferences and dislikes. Mark bass, acoustic, hardcase, Ampeg. Bass players need honesty plus more than a laser pointer. Glenn, help us.
You forgot the one brand I've been using for quite a while. Dark Glass. What amp should you get? One of these. This is freaking awesome. This is amazing. This is the Microtubes 900. It is 900 watts of pure bass fury. It is freaking stellar. And the matching cabinet is amazing as well. They sent me one. They wanted me to pass it on to someone else. I'm like, no, you're not getting it back. I have used it on every single recording I've recorded bass with ever since I got that cab. It is spectacular beyond belief. I can't say enough good things about it. It made bass great again.
Do you think albums containing multiple genres of songs are a good idea, or are they just a general mess? Say a proportional mixture of blues, gothic, country, and rock songs. Greetings from Northern Ireland.
You know, one of the most exciting records I remember ever hearing was Faith No More's The Real Thing. I was on a road trip with a buddy. He threw this on, and it was just this amazing kaleidoscope of different styles, like one song to the next. It was just, you didn't know what this band was going to do next. And it was freaking awesome. They had great players, you know, great bass player, great guitar player, great singer. Mike Patton is just freaking amazing. If you haven't checked it out, you really missed out. It is stellar. And they have never, ever come close to matching that record, not in my opinion anyway. So yeah, when it's done, it can be done well, but it's rare. But when it's right, holy crap, is it awesome.
Awesome video as usual. I've learned so much thanks to your videos and have treated my room with DIY bass traps 2 days ago with awesome results. I have a silly question. I see a lot of people like you and other pros using Outboard gear for mixing and mastering within their DAW. How do you do that going out of the DAW and back in analog hardware? Might be an obvious one. Thanks a lot and keep up the great work.
Most DAWs have a plugin that will do latency compensation to send a signal back out into the real world and then back into the DAW, so everything stays lined up. In Reaper, it's called Ria Insert. It's freaking awesome. I use that to go to my Stam SA2A, to the Distressor, to my Pultec EQ, to my two-breast compressor, all that stuff. And it's great. Harrison Mixbus will do the same thing. It'll like send a little ping out and time the latency and then delay everything so it matches up. Really cool stuff. I don't know what DAW you're using, but take a look on your DAW's forums perhaps, and maybe somebody's already covered that question. Google's always a good thing here, guys. Try it out with a Google search and just find out about inserting real outboard gear into your DAW. But yes, it definitely works in Reaper and it does it very elegantly, and it's something I use all the time.
Hey Glenn, what's your opinion on drummers like Ian, Rubin, who use samples to enhance their sound of their kit rather than replace it? My opinion allows drummers to be even more well-rounded musicians by expanding the range of their dynamics and the kit's capabilities.
As opposed to expanding the range of their playing. It's what everybody does that though. That's the problem. Everybody's doing it, and it sucks. Why can't we hear the freaking drummer? Go put on British Steel. You want to hear awesome, massive sounding drums without any bullshit. Or go put on, Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind. Nico McBrain just kills it on that record. I want to hear inspired playing, not computer enhanced playing, because computer enhanced playing is boring and it just enhances the suck.
You think the moral panics of the past were more excusable, not justified in the past, or are likely to lighten up now. When I was a kid, all the TV news channels were claiming music like NWA and Nirvana promoted violence, so my parents tried their hardest to keep me away from it because the TV and cable news were controlling the narrative. Today, if the media says something about a musical act, I can look them up online and get a chance to hear the artist's defense of their music. I also hear about music for myself without having to buy it. So I feel like I can better to my kids than my parents were to me.
Oh, I don't know how true that is. I mean, look at all the fake news that was going on Facebook during the last election, and it was like Russian troll sites who were controlling the narrative about political things. So, I don't know. And the thing is, you still see deliberately provocative stuff thrown up on Facebook all the time just to get a rise out of people. So, I don't know how true that is. I mean, but the thing is, people have to be able to be willing to ask questions. And if that doesn't happen, then we still have the quote unquote moral panics. I remember when Columbine happened, there was a lot of blame being thrown at Marilyn Manson. Completely ignoring the fact that the kids who did the shooting didn't even listen to the guy. But it's all Marilyn Manson's fault. It wasn't the shitty parenting. It wasn't the shitty kids that went to the school that bullied those kids relentlessly. No. It was Marilyn Manson's fault. And this was in the age of the internet when people could look this stuff up. So I don't know how true that is. The truth is, if you are willing to do your homework, you can fact check, and it's not hard. Google is a thing. The question is, are people willing to make that extra little mental leap to walk over that tiny little hurdle and go hit the Google search bar? I don't know. I don't think it happens that much. I think people would just rather be led around most of the time. That's my thought. I could be wrong on that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the show. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. Keep those comments and questions coming because I really do want to hear from you guys. What you say really matters to me. Your questions matter to me. And keep those suggestions for tutorials coming. I love hearing from you guys. And if you want to get better at mixing and recording, check out the Ultimate Rock Mixing Bundle. It is 70% off in the description below. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.